On 5 News, roses and remembrance as Parliament pays tribute to Jo Cox. MPs wear a white flower in a mark of respect, and 2 roses are placed on her usual common seat.
We have lost one of our own, and our society as a whole has lost one of our very best.
Jo Cox was a voice of compassion, whose irrepressible spirit and boundless energy lit up the lives of all who knew her and saved the lives of many she never, ever met.
A rare display of unity as colleagues remember the Yorkshire MP. After the pause, the politics resumes with a clash over EU posters as referendum campaigning starts up again. 3 girls overdose on ecstasy. Charities warn the drug is being targeted at the very young. Controversy as footballer Ched Evans signs for a new club as he waits to be retried on rape charges. And England and Wales fans hope their teams can win through to the next round of the Euros. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. It was poignant, personal and a long way from politics as usual. This afternoon, MPs came together to reflect on the life of an extraordinary woman, Jo Cox, who was killed last week in her West Yorkshire constituency. Many words came up again and again: loving, compassionate, a bundle of energy, a woman determined to make the world a better place. Watching from the public gallery, her husband and 2 young children. Simon Vigar reports.
Wearing the white rose of Yorkshire, MPs gathered to pay tribute, led by the Speaker of the House of Commons.
Colleagues, we meet today in heartbreaking sadness, but also in heartfelt solidarity.
A white rose and a red one for Labour were placed on the bench where Jo Cox used to sit.
Last Thursday, Jo Cox was doing what all of us here do, representing and serving the people who elected her. We have lost one of our own, and our society as a whole has lost one of our very best.
He was followed by the Prime Minister.
May we and the generations of members that follow us in this House honour Jo's memory by proving that the democracy and freedoms Jo stood for are indeed unbreakable, by continuing to stand up for our constituents and by uniting against the hatred that killed her today and forevermore.
Yeah. Unseen by the cameras, Jo Cox's family watched the speeches from a gallery, including her 2 young children. The contributions from the MP's friends were touching and brave.
She inspired us all, and I swear that we will do everything in our power to make her and her family incredibly proud.
Yes. Those words from Jo's maiden speech must therefore truly ring out today. We are far more united and have far more in common with each other than the things that divide us.
But last, let me say this. Batley and Spen will go on to elect a new MP, but no one can replace a mother.
An ally from across the party political divide remembered how Jo Cox grilled a Russian diplomat over Syria.
With clever charm, but steely determination, this 5-foot bundle of old-fashioned Yorkshire common sense dressed him down for his country's cruelty and cynicism in Syria. I do not believe the Russian ambassador will easily forget that visit.
Then MPs left Parliament for a service at their parish church across the road. The words of one of Jo Cox's oldest friends still hung in the air.
This is our time to honour the legacy of the proud Yorkshire lass who dedicated her life to the common good and who was so cruelly taken away from us in the prime of her life. Jo Cox, we love you, we salute you, and we shall never forget you.
Some of the many tributes in the House of Commons today to the MP Jo Cox. The man accused of her murder has been remanded in custody after appearing at the Old Bailey. 52-year-old Thomas Mair appeared via video link from the top security Belmarsh prison. He's charged with murder, grievous bodily harm and weapons offences. A fundraising page set up in Jo Cox's name has reached nearly £1 million in donations. Nearly 30,000 people have so far pledged a total of £950,000 in just 3 days. The money will go to 3 charities chosen by her family that were close to her heart. Well, the campaign over Britain's membership of the European Union has resumed fully today after being paused as a mark of respect. It began with a blow for the Leave camp after senior Conservative Baroness Varsi switched sides in protest at a poster unveiled by Nigel Farage last week. As our political editor Andy Bell reports, the Remain camp then attracted controversy for a poster of their own.
2 posters, 2 sides, one for UKIP and Leave, one from the official Remain campaign, both held up by their supporters as reasonable messages, both denounced by their opponents for crossing a line. Nigel Farage launched this poster last week. Now a senior Conservative is saying it was enough to make her change sides.
Unfortunately, those of us at the outset with that very clear, inclusive, moderate vision for Brexit have over time been taken over by a message which is divisive, which is inward-looking, which is xenophobic, and unfortunately is creating deep divide and hate on our streets.
For the official Vote Leave campaign, today promoting a message there'll be more jobs if we vote out, this news came as something of a surprise.
I'm sorry that Baroness Varsi said what she said today. She's not been a part of the Leave campaign up to now. I wasn't aware that she was even on the same side as me in this argument.
And this poster has some on the other side fuming, claiming it's all part of an attempt to use Jo Cox's death to distort the debate. From the Remain campaign,
every single person talks about the politics of hate, the politics of fear, the climate that has led to this awful thing happening, and there is no linkage whatsoever. I make of it just them deliberately and willfully, frankly exploiting a horrendous situation to try and put themselves on the side of right and the Leave side, as if somehow we've got bad, wrong motives.
On almost the last lap, George Osborne was staying on message today, don't risk the economy. But when asked about Jo Cox, did he also have another message for voters about to make up their minds?
We're also united in a celebration of her life and the remarkable woman she was, and how she said, led us to remember what unites us more than what divides us. And I think those are good words to have in our heads, not just today, but in the days ahead.
And who can argue with that? But at the end of a very tight, very hard-fought campaign, all these words carry meaning, and they may affect the result.
So, Andy, a tight and hard-fought campaign. So I just want to ask you about that decision by Baroness Varsi. How significant do you think it is, switching sides?
Well, she wasn't an important campaigner, that much is clear, but I think what's significant is what she's had to say about the Leave message today. She has made it plain. She now thinks the message coming from the Leave side is too harsh, too nasty, frankly, too xenophobic, too anti-foreigner, too anti-immigrant. And I think that there is a sense whereby on the other side, I've been speaking to some MPs who support the Leave campaign, they are concerned that in these last days, that is the way their campaign is now being characterised, when they would say that there are much more important arguments to come as to why Britain should leave the EU, but they are concerned that following on from what happened so tragically last week, the nature of this debate is changing, and the way that the Leave campaign is being characterised is also changing.
Yes, but Andy, there was a pause, wasn't there, to all that this afternoon, a very different mood in the House of Parliament today. And I just wonder if you've been reporting from Westminster for so many years, how different was it for you to watch what happened today?
Very different, Sian. I'm not sure I've seen anything quite like that. Normally when we go into the press gallery, you can hear the hubbub of what's going on with the MPs below you in the chamber. Today when we came in, it was absolutely silent, and I looked down and I realised that the chamber of the House of Commons below us in the press gallery was already absolutely packed with MPs who were sitting there completely silent. It was very moving. I then looked across from where I sit in the press gallery to the visitors gallery, and I could see Jo Cox's husband Brendan and her 2 small children sitting there in the visitors gallery watching the proceedings, watching all those MPs below them saying such heartfelt and really warm and positive things about Jo Cox. Not just people from Labour, but people from all parties, and I think everyone sitting in that chamber was very affected by what happened there this afternoon.
Andy, thank you. There's a warning today that as many as 40% of people in the UK could be obese in 20 years' time. A group of leading health experts says if obesity levels keep rising at their current rate, it'll cause around 7 million extra cases of diabetes, cancer and heart disease. An inmate has died at the Long Lartin Maximum Security Jail in Worcestershire. The prisoner is reported to have been attacked by a fellow inmate this morning. 3 12-year-old girls who fell ill after taking ecstasy are still recovering in hospital in Greater Manchester. It's believed they'd all been given something known as Teddy tablets, which had been mixed into a bottle of soft drink. There's growing concern that ecstasy is becoming stronger and that dealers are increasingly targeting children, as Warren Nettleford reports.
It was common for ecstasy to look just like this, but the design of these tablets is changing, and there are now fears they may be appealing to children. On Saturday afternoon, the police were called here in Salford after a 12-year-old girl was found to be overdosing. We now know that she'd taken the drug ecstasy along with 2 other friends. They're now all recovering. The boy relaxing and playing guitar is 16-year-old Daniel Spargo Mabs. He died after taking ecstasy 2 years ago at a rave. His mother, Fiona, is now an anti-drugs campaigner.
There's a whole kind of world of drug offer going on out there that you just don't see as an adult. So at the railway station or even just outside the school gates or just walking along the high street, you can get offered drugs. And I guess kids are an easy audience, an easy market, because there's a naivety.
Fewer people are now taking drugs in the UK, but ecstasy use is bucking that trend, and there are major consequences. A new report has found that in 2010, 8 died from taking ecstasy. In 2014, that number jumped to 50.
When compared to 10 years ago, the average tablet contained about double the amount of MDMA that was present back then, but there are dangerously high levels of MDMA in some of the tablets that are on the market right now.
Breakaway are a drugs charity in Greater Manchester who work with young people. They say there's a wider variety of drugs available than ever before.
If something's in the shape of a teddy bear, has a Lego logo on it or a MasterCard stamp, these are brands that are well known out there, and certainly people would recognise them and could be attracted to that as well.
Doctors are hopeful the girls will make a full recovery. Police want anyone with information to come forwards. Warren Nettleford, 5 News.
Still to come on the programme. Could this be from the missing flight MH370? Photos of items washed ashore in Madagascar are released. Plus, Wales and England supporters hope tonight will bring them success at the Euros. All that and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Footballer Ched Evans has signed for a new club 4 months before he faces a retrial on rape charges. The 27-year-old has joined Chesterfield on a 1-year contract. Catherine Jones is with me. Catherine, just remind us about the case.
Well, the former Wales and Sheffield United striker hasn't played professionally since 2012 when he was convicted of the rape of a 19-year-old girl. He was sentenced to 5 years and served half of that sentence before being released in 2014. Now, Ched Evans has always denied the charge, and 2 months ago, after a review of his case, the Court of Appeal quashed his conviction and ordered a retrial. Now, you may recall there have been attempts to sign him before, that was once he'd been released, but before the quashing his conviction. They all failed following public pressure, basically. There was a petition and also high-profile objections, most notably by the Olympic champion Jessica Ennis-Hill.
And what's been announced today?
Well, he signed a 12-month contract with League One club Chesterfield. They've said they've given this a great deal of thought, and following the court's decision, we are in no doubt Ched Evans should be welcomed back into the profession. Evans has said on the club's website, "I am very excited and privileged to be resuming my career at Chesterfield, and I hope to make a valuable contribution both on and off the pitch for the football club, the fans and the community." Chesterfield's League One season starts on August the 6th. Ched Evans' retrial on a charge of rape begins in early October.
Catherine, thank you. More than 2 years after Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 disappeared, photos have been released of personal items that have washed up on a beach in Madagascar. They include purses, shoes and a child's rucksack. And if they're recognised as belonging to any of the passengers or crew, it could finally provide answers for their families as to what happened to them. Dominic Reynolds reports.
Frayed, damaged by water, but recognisably bags, camera cases, children's luggage. They might have come from anywhere, except that on the Madagascar beach where they were found, plane debris recently washed up too. It was all found by Blaine Gibson, an American trying to find out what happened to MH370. And he told us he's doing it for the families.
I cannot imagine what it would be like to not know anything about what happened to a loved one for more than 2 years. If anything that I can do can provide some clues to help give them some answers and to make sure that the search goes on, that we don't stop, that's what I want to see.
MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur heading for Beijing on March the 8th, 2014, but it disappeared from radar after only 40 minutes in the air. The most expensive search in aviation history followed, but it found nothing. Until this washed up on an island off Madagascar's coast last summer. It was confirmed as part of MH370's wing. These items could simply have fallen from a ship, but experts say they fit the pattern of coming from the missing plane.
We're expecting to find debris like that. When an aircraft hits the water at high speed, and we know it must have done because bits of the aircraft have actually been found, it will fragment and tens of thousands of parts of the aircraft will float. I mean, seat cushions, clothing, bags in this case, they will float for many, many years.
Families of the 239 passengers and crew are now examining these pictures. Experts say the plane's black box recorders will probably never be found, so you could be looking at some of the best clues left in the mystery of what brought that plane down, what ended all those lives. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
Transcripts of phone calls made by the gunman during the Orlando shootings have been made public. They show that during the siege, Omar Mateen made 3 calls to emergency services inside the Pulse nightclub. In them, he claimed to be an Islamic fighter and pledged allegiance 3 times, it's believed, to so-called Islamic State. Football now, and it's a key night for 2 of the home nations in France this evening. Both England and Wales could do with a victory to ease their nerves. England want to finish top of their group by beating Slovakia, while Wales are hoping to guarantee qualification for the knockout stages with a win against Russia. Let's go to Peter Lane in Saint-Étienne, where England are playing later. Seems to be a much more positive attitude there. Peter, what's the mood like?
Wash on. Both matches kick off at the same time tonight. Both teams are trying to secure the best next steps in this tournament. England play in the stadium behind me. Wales play in Toulouse, and the French authorities have designated the match there a high risk because of last week's violence involving Russian fans. But so far today, fingers crossed, very different picture that we're seeing. The fans travelling to the matches in good spirits and with high hopes.
Not a bad way to start your Monday morning. Coffee and croissant in the sunshine on a Euro 2016 road trip. The lads from Nutfield FC are on tour. They've driven from Surrey to Calais to Paris to Marseille to Nice to Lyon and now Saint-Étienne. All 6 living in one camper van, willing England on to success.
Dave, mate, you got a croissant down there?
It's brilliant. It's all the boys together, and you're going out there. You're supporting England all the way. It's what you've always wanted to do. Always wanted to do since you were kids.
We're getting on quite well, actually. Surprisingly, we had a couple of arguments, but that's given, isn't it? Really.
It's been great. It's been good seeing the country as well. So it's something we've never experienced.
It's got a lot calmer since Marseille, and the police have I think they've learned how to deal with the England fans.
Yeah, we've had a couple of dinks. The window fell out in the Channel Tunnel, and someone reversed it into a bush. I won't name names.
And of course, eventually, lads, you're going to have to tidy up. But that can wait. England are already taking on Slovakia at Keepy Uppy. Fans from both sides making their score predictions for tonight's final group game.
2-1 Slovakia.
2-1 Slovakia.
1-1 today.
1-1.
Yes, that's good for England and for us.
3-0 England.
3-0 England. Confident?
Yes, 3-0 definitely.
And over in Toulouse, more sunshine, more anticipation. Wales fans perusing the menu, hungry for success against Russia. These may be the last matches without a prospect of penalty shootouts, but it doesn't stop young fans learning the art. And of course, learning the songs.
Don't take me home, please don't take me home. I just don't want to go to school. I want to stay here watching Dad drink beer. Please, please, please don't take me home.
Peter Lane, 5 News.
Good luck to both sides. Before we go, Danny's joined us to tell us what's coming up on 5 News tonight. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Sean. Well, I will be speaking to one of the charities set to benefit from the fund set up in Jo Cox's memory as donations reach near to £1 million. Also, we'll be asking at what age should children learn about gay issues? The first school Pride Week is being held in the UK, but some religious groups have expressed their concerns.
All right, look forward to that. Thank you, Danny. That is it for now, though. Sian Welby has the weather next. I'll see you again tomorrow at 5. Danny, of course, back in an hour. Thanks very much for watching today. Goodbye for now.